All right, bulls and bears and every other creature that may be tuning in. My name is JJ, and I'm back with another dose of economic reality. Let's jump right into it, folks. There's a lot of deception going on right now, a lot of economic deception, a lot of foolery going on. Hopefully, nobody on this channel, hopefully, no person right now watching this is fooled by this great, quote unquote, great jobs data coming out here. So, first of all, strong U.S. payrolls and wage growth push back bets for Fed cuts. Right now, most of you probably know the Fed, they're looking for an excuse to cut rates. They're looking for some bad data. So, this is actually bad news because people are in dire need of rate cuts right now, even though that's going to make the problem worse. It will temporarily give a little bit of relief, but it's going to be very short term, temporary relief if and when they do the rate cuts. And I still wouldn't be surprised if they did rate cuts later this year. But a strong jobs number is going to be very detrimental to the hopes of doing rate cuts. Now, if you look at the numbers here, non farm payrolls advanced 272,000 for the month of May. Right? You say, well, it's great. That's better than expected. Right? Better than expected. All they have to do is tell you that they expected a terrible number. Let's say they expected 200,000. And they can come out and say, wow, this is great news. This is better than expected. In the meantime, though, and I think some of you might be knowing, might know exactly where I'm going with this. In the meantime, how many people do you think filed unemployment in the month of May? And actually, let's just look at the weekly numbers here. Weekly unemployment claims 229,000. That's only 50,000 less than the entire new jobs number of about 272,000. But that's only a week's data. Multiply that by 4, which will get you close to a month. You're talking close to 1 million new unemployed people. Folks, I'm not making this up here. In the week ending June 1st, the advanced figure for seasonally adjusted initial claims was 229,000. That's an increase of 8,000 from the previous week's revised level. The previous week's level was revised up by 2,000 from 219,000 to 221,000. So in most cases, these are revised up down the road a little bit here. But just look at the numbers and take the numbers, multiply it by 4, 229 by 4. If that happens every week for 4 weeks, you're in the 900,000 range, approaching a million for unemployment claims. But yet we're supposed to be excited about 272,000 jobs added for the month, right? Completely ridiculous. 99.9% of the people I think out there, they're just the general population. They read these headlines and they think everything's great. In the meantime, we have to have all these rescue programs because people are so far in debt, they can't make their payments. Here's another recent one. Look what's happening here with the VA. The VA veterans, the VA loans, they had to basically put out a rule not to foreclose on veterans' homes this year. So, do you think they want to keep the economy good? Maybe for a little while, maybe for about 5 more months to get past what's going on in November. VA tells banks not to foreclose on veterans' homes this year. Okay, well, very sad picture here, right here. So someone that lost a lot, looks like fighting for the country. So what are they going to do? Push this out until January? So it's going to be okay to take their homes in 2025? Now, some people would say, of course it's okay to take their homes because if they're not paying their mortgage, that's the rules, right? But in the meantime, you have billions of dollars being sent all over the place, all over the world. So on one hand, you could say, yeah, they shouldn't have bought the home if they couldn't make the payments. On the other hand, you got to say, well, they're vets. They sacrificed a lot. And we're handing out billions of dollars across the world to people that have sacrificed nothing for this country, anyways. So depends on your perspective. But I think this is pretty eye-opening, pretty sad at the same time. But that just gives you a snapshot of what's actually happening, the economic reality of the situation, right? This whole game of the economy's great, the economy's good. It's uh, it's very sophisticated, and it's fooling a lot of people. Most people that I talk to, just out and about, people, customers at work, clients, they're thinking that they're in a lot of debt, and they're thinking they're the only one, or that this is not widespread. No, folks, this is massive. Most people living paycheck to paycheck. Again, I have to keep on going back to that because that's the true snapshot of the economy. Just because people are addicts and they have to go watch sports games, or they have to go spend $15 for a drink at the nightclub, they have to go out to eat and run up more debt on their credit cards. Just because you see all these people out doing these things doesn't mean that they're actually doing well for the long term. Sure, they can borrow money now, and we're seeing the debt continue to explode. No end in sight to the banks loaning out money. Usually, when you see this amount of debt and when you see delinquencies rise, like we're seeing right now across the board, delinquencies rising, credit cards, auto loans, homes, foreclosures rising, rescue programs now being implemented for not just the veterans, but a lot of other rescue programs are happening right now. They had to put in 0% mortgages to try to get more people to buy these homes that really people can't afford without some trickery type of financing, right? All these things being done to mask, to hide the economic reality. But I'm glad none of you, hopefully, none of you were fooled by this. I mean, come on, about 4 times as many people unemployed versus jobs added, and they paint that as good news, and people are eating it up. It's a great economy. Everything's great. I must be the only one in debt. I must be the only one, struggling. No, it's you and about 70% of the population. Actually, I'm sure it's probably creeping up to 80% now. And most of you probably know it's the top 10%. They own 90% of all stocks, all shares. If you take all the stocks out there, every share of stock, 90% is owned by the top 10%, folks. This is a massive wealth transfer scheme, and part of that scheme is fooling you and everyone else if they can. Not many of us know exactly what's going on, but you and I, we're on top of this. We know what's going on, right? So continue to brace. We just talked about our last report, how June 9th, there's going to be, everybody's saying, not everybody, but people that are paying attention to it are saying that the Saudis are going to announce the end of the U.S. petro dollar, meaning OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, including Saudi Arabia, is going to announce no more dollars, or they're going to change the rule that's been in place for over 50 years, that oil had to be traded in U.S. dollars. Folks, that's a big change. That's a 50 plus year thing there that's very likely coming to an end. And if you watched the last video, I put it out there. I said, do you think there's going to be something big happening on that day, maybe a massive dollar collapse? And I said in that video, I don't think so. Things are going to play out much more slowly because the dollar has already been in decline. But when you look at the dollar compared to other currencies, which are also just fiat currencies, not backed by anything, the dollar is still strong. But just look at what the dollar can buy you, and then ask yourself, is the dollar really strong, right? Even $20 an hour here in California is not much. In some other states, $20 an hour is not doing bad. But in California, it's not much. And the restaurants that had to pay $20 an hour, a lot of them are closing. We talked about Rubio's and Red Lobster bankruptcy. A lot of other California restaurants are they're going bye bye. They're going away because they can't afford this one, and it's getting worse because more consumers now can't afford to go out to eat too. And I think a lot of people may have turned the direction that I turned. I vowed to stop eating fast food. I probably won't be able to do that completely because sometimes you're on a road trip, you just want to grab something. But it's been about maybe 2 months since I've had fast food. I've been grilling every weekend, and the amount of food I get to cook on the grill for the same amount of money that I used to spend on fast food, it's enormous. One cookout on the grill lasts us about 3 nights, the whole family 3 nights. I'm cooking so much food, and I'm cooking food, and the cost of that food I'm cooking is about one trip for a family of 4 or 5 to McDonald's, Burger King, and it's lasting us for a lot longer, and it's a lot healthier, and it's funner. All right, so I think a lot of people are doing that. They're watching what they spend, even though you wouldn't know it by looking at certain things, looking at you know certain events that people still go to. If you look at malls, malls are dead. Mostly people are shopping online now. And even that, you have to just ask yourself how much longer will the banks keep issuing new credit, new credit? We're seeing credit expand normally in this situation where everything is um, going into late payment default. Normally, you would see banks tightening, but of course, they're not going to do that. This is 2024. Got to keep things going till the end of the year. They're going to hold off on the VA foreclosures until the end of the year. I think they'll probably extend it because that's going to be very bad optics if they don't extend that, and it could be permanent, right? It could just be like many other programs where these people are just not going to be able to pay, and they're not going to pay, and it's just going to be added onto the debt, aka taxpayer. And pretty soon, I don't think the VA loans are going to have to be paid back. I think they're just going to put that out there as another um, social program, just like there's so many other ones in place right now. It's just going to keep on expanding, getting worse. What do you guys think about the jobs numbers? And the unemployment number is actually about 4 times as many as jobs added. Completely insane. But some people are just fooled by this, folks. So hope you're doing good. Let me know what you think about this down in comments. We're going to wrap this one up, everybody. Keep stacking. Bye for now and peace.